All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. This is another resource to help you with your experiential learning activity. And I'm really happy to have with me Abbas here, who is, he'll give you his full introduction, but he's here in the communications group at UT Scarborough. And one of the fun things about our class is, we do so many crazy things that there's often people on the university with great expertise in something we're doing. And it's a chance to kind of introduce there's a Sesame Street song. These are the people in your neighborhood. There's faculty in your neighborhood. There's staff in your neighborhood. There's all kinds of people, and I think it's always good to meet some of the other people in the UTSC neighborhood, get a sense of what they do, and so we'll do a little bit of that with the boss, and then we're just going to ask him. He is a specialist on public service announcements, or at least he has a deep experience and much deeper than I have. And so together, after you learn about him a little bit, we're going to talk about the rubric that we'll be using in this activity, which he has helped me create. And then we're going to give you an example, including one example he's quite proud of, which for good reason as well. And then in addition, you'll find some other links that Abbas has sent along here so that you can see some other examples to get you going along. And there was one other thing that came out when we talked to Bruce this morning that I would sort of throw out to people. If you're doing the ban ads for gambling one, there was a big attempt to ban smoking ads long ago, but there's a lot of PSAs that were out when they were trying to ban smoking ads for smoking. So maybe go back in the time machine, go back and look at some of those after you think about whatever, and that might be a good thing to bring together. All right. So with all that said, maybe I'll just ask you to introduce yourself, Abbas, and just kind of sort of talk about a little bit about your path, your history, and maybe a little bit about what you're now doing at UT Scarborough.
All right. So, firstly, Steve, I'm not a specialist. I'm still learning things, but it's always good. I'll introduce myself. My name is Abbas, and I work as a senior producer and team lead at the marketing and communications team. It's been almost, I would say, a decade working for digital content, television, even feature films, and
Ah,
radio. So,
which feature films? I know the students are going to
um,
want to know.
I worked on three Bollywood films. One
Ah,
is Kapoor and Sons, KGF, and Gold. All three I've worked as behind the scenes as an assistant. So got to learn a lot from making how films are made and how
fantastic.
feature films are made.
Yeah,
So good
very
opportunity.
very cool. I'm sure a lot of students will find that really cool.
Yeah.
Yep, yep.
Uh, But yeah, apart from that, done a lot of PSAs. I've done entertainment stuff, something hard hitting, something impactful for the audience, and yeah, events. So many other things. But today we'll be talking more about what public service awareness is.
Yeah, yeah. So that's our focus here is public service announcements. Although I want to keep, Abbas and I will talk about some of the characteristics that makes a PSA impactful. But one thing I want to be clear is we're not trying to tell you there's a right way per se. That there's, part of this is harnessing your creativity and coming up with I think that's one of the things that makes a PSA effective is it kind of catches the mind because it's different or unique or surprising in some way. So please know you can go any direction with these things, but some of the factors that we'll talk about will allow you to kind of think about, hey, am I hitting the things I want to hit in whatever creative approach I'm doing to that. So yeah, anything you want to say just about PSAs or yeah, in
Um,
that realm to introduce them. Yeah.
yeah. So firstly, like when it comes to PSA, the first thing which hits my mind is that how can my PSA be impacted to the mass audience?
Yeah.
Uh, there are like tons and tons of ways to grab attention of the audience, but it's not only about grabbing attention, but somewhere having that thing like that kind of awareness in your head,
Hmm.
not running 24/7, but it's in your head, and
Yep.
you know that this is something which can be affected or it can be impactful for the public. So
So he's talking psychology there, of course,
yeah.
memory. So you want attention, you want to grab attention, but then once you have attention, you want to somehow provide a message or present a message that will rattle around our skulls a little bit and show up now and then. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe like one fine day, you would come across to something like that, and you'd be like, no, I know about these things. I
Hmm.
have seen it somewhere. So maybe a recall to it.
Yep. Yep.
And I don't agree that whether the person should bring a change, but at least being aware about it is what it matters.
Right, right. Yeah. So I mean, those are the two. You can kind of think about it that way. You would probably, when we'll talk the rubric, and I think one of the things I will add to the rubric we're going to show you now is a call to action. But you can kind of think of it that way. That one is you want to raise awareness around the issue, and that's your first goal. Just letting people understand, hey, there is this position out there that some of us feel strongly about, and trying to elucidate that position a little bit. If possible, you would also love to have some sort of call to action where if you've motivated them enough, if they're interested enough in what you say, you can give them something they can do to actually, actively become part of the cause. But that first step is really, really important. And as the boss is saying, even if they don't do anything other than experience your ad, if you've changed their awareness of some situation, you've done something really good. So yeah, 100%.
Uh, I have a classic example which I would like to share. We did a campaign on no smoking back earlier,
Yeah.
and we had a very funny insight where 11 minutes of your life get cuts off if you smoke one cigarette.
Yeah.
That insight was so important because after making that ad about no smoking, people were relating whenever, like, if like in between friends, we
Yep.
used to tease each other, like if someone's smoking, dude, 11 minutes is out from your life. So
It
that was
became
one,
almost a meme of a sort.
maybe a meme, but somewhere down the line, this might be impactful for people.
Yeah.
We were like, there were like places everywhere where people were just emphasizing on 11 minutes getting cut off your life. And the reason was no smoking. So people targeted it that way. Steve, I think you've frozen.
Yep. Oh, sorry. We it was probably on my side of boss, but that's okay.
Oh, yeah.
We'll catch it. I
Okay.
just missed probably about the last 10 or 15 seconds of what you were saying. It
Okay.
is my side. I've just got the message. Sorry.
Oh, no. It's okay. For a moment, I thought, am I stuck or it's you? Frozen. So
Yep.
I was basically emphasizing that everybody knows smoking is injurious to health, but
Mhm.
does people know that 11 minutes get cut off
Yeah.
from your life? So that was the emphasis on our campaign, that you smoke how many cigarettes you want to smoke, but there are times which is cutting down in your life.
Yeah.
So that impact created throughout the entire campaign where people were like 11 minutes, 11 minutes. Oh, no smoking, 11 minutes
So what do we
everywhere.
want? Do we want to show them that PSA?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
So that's not the Ralph one, right?
no, I think the first link.
The first link. Okay. Yep.
Yeah.
So let me just get this. All right. Yeah. Cool. So let me just stop it, and then we'll show everybody this, because I think it's a great example to. Then we can talk about the characteristics of a great PSA, but you'll have this in
Yeah.
mind. Sorry, my controls are right where. There we go.
Like, do you want me to give context about this ad before?
Sure, please do. Yeah.
So it's basically a story about a villager where in India, every man has one big wish that their wedding night is like the big thing uh, everywhere. So so this one man who was dying had his last wish that he could get married to Sunny Leone, and he would have, that was his wish. And the entire ad we show how Sunny comes to him. And I don't want to reveal the climax. Maybe you can see it by the end of the ad. But
Hmm.
this is the whole context where in a village this man is dying and his only last wish was to be with Sunny Leone.
All right, so let's try that out. So this is going to be 4 minutes. Yeah, we don't expect this, obviously, this production quality and this duration from your PSAs, but a great example to get you thinking. So let's check it out. Oh, I like the motorbike.
डॉक्टर साहब कहना की है समय भूखो शेर से सबने खा जावे इवन दवा काम आए न दुआ ताऊ सारे घर का दीपक कभी भी बुझ सके मारी माने ताऊ तब बालक से उसकी लास्ट में पूछने का वक्त आ गया सर माय गॉड राम 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 बोल दे बेटा क्या है थारी अंतिम इच्छा
दीपू ले खाने रंगूने पान आखिरी बार
चौटाली की बकरी का दूध पिएगा जाते जाते पिए थोड़ा सा
मारे पिए से दहेज में रूसी गुटी
भाई थारी फेवरेट बिलायती तूतड़ी ले भर दे इसमें अपनी सासा ने आखिरी सुर तो फिर क्या चाहिए था कुछ होगा
It's good acting too, by the way.
Yeah.
लास्ट में बाबू
देख ऊपर वाला सूरज और गुलशन वाला दीपक इनके आगे किसी के ना चले हैं मान जा
This feels like a movie, by the way.
ठीक है
We kind of created like a village environment, like how people gather when someone's dying, and they would want everyone would be like, his last wish should be fulfilled.
Yeah. Yeah.
चाची है थारी बाप
She's gone now. Dogs. So notice all the humor he's got in here as well, right? There's a lot of emotional fun going on here. So, it really interesting. It can cost you your last words. Fantastic. So, I mean, just the end. Oh,
it's me, Sunny Leone, and I urge you to like, share, pass on, forward, mass text, whatever you do, mass WhatsApp this video of this anti-smoking campaign. I really want you all to stop smoking. Please spread the message, stop cancer, and let's make our world a happier place with no smoking.
हाय मैं हूं दीपक डोबियाल इस वीडियो को देखने के बाद इसे लाइक शेयर और सब्सक्राइब करें और अपनी जिंदगी का दीपक बुझने से पहले स्मोकिंग छोड़ दें अब तो छोड़ दो
smoking it's very very bad for your health सेहत के लिए अच्छा नहीं है so stop smoking throw it in the trash.
So yeah, I mean, that's very cool. Congratulations, my friend. You should feel really proud about that. That is impressive. Yeah, a few things I want to highlight. Like I loved at the end that you're both laughing and seeing that important stat at the same, really mixing the sort of rational, logical brain of like 11 minutes for cigarette with the humorous potential of how that could have played out. Also, I'll just mention, we were just mentioning a call to action at the end. That's what she was essentially doing after the ad is say, hey, now do something about this. So we see that we saw humor all through that. Man, that was really cool.
And one major thing which we always thought that everybody knows smoking can kill you. We've seen multiple ads, like we've seen harsh ads. We also see like pictures of lungs and all these
Yeah.
things. We
Yeah.
just thought, like, how about we take a humor approach? The reason for that was, everybody will remember humor.
Yep. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
Even if the one who's smoking it will relate to him and take it in a fun way, but it will definitely impact him.
Yep. It'll stick.
So that was our always. And because personally, I have seen my friends whenever we like go in theaters and when we see those harsh cigarette ads
Yep.
before any movie starts, people like, this is sad,
Yeah.
this is crap.
They don't
I
even
mean,
want to look at it. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So we just thought, like, how about we get like a humor angle? We had like the number one search person in our video, which
Yeah.
was Sunny, and an important call out for everyone. And we didn't wanted to say stop smoking. We wanted to tell people that 11 minutes is getting cut off your life.
Yeah.
Try saving that 11 minutes.
So a couple of interesting things with that too. So we obviously that 11 minutes was critical, but if you looked at the ad, that did not happen till the end. Like I'm sure that
Yes.
started everything. You start with the 11 minutes, and then you think, how can we put an ad where we can now bring that forward at a point where it's like, wow, it has impact beyond just a boring stat. And as far as Sunny goes, like I know you guys don't necessarily have access to Sunny or people like that in your ads, but when you do a PSA, you can, if you want, say, this guy's gonna pretend to be George Clooney. And imagine it's George Clooney in the ad. So if you want, and that was a point here too, where not everybody should do this, but that celebrity, we've talked about the peripheral route. Sunny's very well known and very well liked among that community. So when she is the messenger, you're more likely to resonate with the message. And so we've got that going on there too, and fantastic. Let's just use this as an opportunity, and this isn't complete yet. I'll have we're still creating this a little bit as we go, but we're just to try to guide you, because partly we want you to have that wide ranging, you can go any direction you want. You can use humor if you want it. You can use various other, and look at PSAs, see what's out there. I showed you one in class about distracted driving, and that wasn't humorous at all, right? It was very poignant, the one I showed. So but for a lot of these, here are some of the things, and we'll hash it out a little bit more. But if we kind of go through clarity of message, did the PSA clearly convey the message it intended to deliver? So Abbas wanted to let you know you're taking 11 minutes off your life. Was that clear? And I think it was clear, and it was clear and very memorable. Effectiveness of visuals. Okay, so this is where Abbas is going to beat the crap out of us, because obviously that looked movie quality. That looked like very high quality, very high production, very good acting. That's beautiful, but also just things like, I'll have you point that the production value aside, when she was kind of flirting with him, and then there was a quick little cut to the dogs with the heads go doing that, adding those little clever bits every now and then. If you can think of things like that make your message more palatable, I think is the word. And maybe let's talk about that a little bit, because I think Abbas already has, but he said those ugly ads about smoking, they're not palatable, right? Nobody wants to consume those. They don't really want to look at them. They don't really want to think about them. But that ad, the one we just saw, I could see if like, say I'd seen it, but I wasn't with my family, and then I saw it coming on TV, that's the kind of thing I'd say, hey guys, come check this out. This is really cool. Watch this with me. And that's a highly consumable public service announcement. So to the extent you can, learn a little bit from that, emotional appeal, did it evoke emotional responses? Yes. We were laughing. We were, I think if you were from Indian background and you knew that situation too, it might also connect you with losing loved ones and being in that situation yourself. So probably has an emotionality that goes beyond the specific humor of the situation. That was great.
Yeah. So, like we had used certain small elements which would bring out emotions. Like if you see in the video, you might see the bulb hanging and
Yep.
it flickering.
Yeah.
So that's like an indication. If you see that in general, what do you do generally? You change the bulb, right? Put a new one. So that was like a hint towards something.
Yeah.
The puppies moving their heads, that was an emotion. It indicated something. So your visuals is not only just communicating your PSA, but also bringing out emotions. Like how can you emotionally connect to what you are, trying to spread awareness about?
Yeah. Yeah. The best PSAs do that. They engage your emotional system. Yeah. That was such a good one. Script and voiceover, we saw that, but the narration or text clear, concise, and easy to follow. I think Abbas actually got away with because the 11 minutes was so interesting, such a great hook, that it was nice to build up to it the way you did. And so, I don't know how much you were worried about being concise, for example. I think you were more worried about telling a story that would engage people and bring them to that end with their full attention. And that was there. But largely, I think the critical point is there was nothing in that video that distracted from that message. It was just walking you in this line towards what's going to happen. How is this going to end? And you wanted to know, and then you got the 11-minute hit thing. Yeah, fantastic.
It's just like a simple graph. You get people like from low to high and when to drop back again. If you maintain that graph, that's where you win your audience. And try keeping it as simple, as relatable for a viewer to watch.
Yeah, and so that's like relevance to the target audience. This was aimed at. I don't think this has to be an Indian target audience at all, but I mean that was the context in which it was made, and clearly has relevance and it's relatable, as he said, to that group. Cultural sensitivity. I mean, this is more often if you're if you know the market, especially if it's your cultural group, it's pretty easy to be sensitive to that. But if you're ever thinking of a PSA towards a market that you might not know so well, then sometimes it's worth getting to know that market and getting to know, especially if there are sensitivities to that market. So, for example, one year we worked with an agency called Swab the World that was trying to convince people to put their DNA in a stem cell database. There are some cultures that aren't very comfortable with some of those things, and if you're creating the PSA for that group, you want to be very careful to know what those sensitivities are and to communicate in a way where you're not triggering things that are going to push people away. You really want to, and I think that's the other thing we can take from Abbas's example there. It drew you in. I mean, it didn't push you away in any ways. It was very much a draw in, and that's what you can ruin if you're not sensitive to a culture. You can start drawing them in, and then you say something that offends, then they're not interested in you anymore, and they don't care about your message. So yeah, being respectful, being sensitive, always important in life everywhere. But certainly if you're trying to convince somebody to your position on something, those things are critical. Yeah.
And another important thing is that ask yourself the same question. That does it make you a fan?
Yep.
If you don't have an answer to it, which means you are still lost. You need to find that answer. So if you have like answers to all of your questions, which means you are in the correct direction.
Fantastic.
You need to be clear on what you're trying to communicate. If you yourself is not clear, what will you communicate then? You can't leave the audience to think like, this is what I have thought and this is your assumption.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, and of course they use the facts and data. So Abbas held that back, right? He used one data point, really, one statistic, and you've seen probably PSAs do it in sort of the opposite way, where they're hitting you with stat after stat after stat, kind of pummeling your frontal lobes, as it were, with rational reasons. Whereas what we saw here was a much more emotional ride, an enjoyable emotional ride that ended with a critically important stat that he really wanted you to think about differently than just you would think about a cold number. He made that statistic, I was going to say come to life, but rather come to death. Really, made that statistic matter in a sort of exaggerated way, right? But that notion that, hey, you're going to miss moments of your life, who knows what you miss? And so he came up with a pretty good thing to miss. But yeah,
like cool. Statistics and facts definitely help us bring out a root to on what we think.
Yep.
Because that's how I came up. Like I got a stat of 11 minutes that to me to different stats. Like these many people die because of smoking, and who all are associated with smoking. That's where we came across that Sunny Leone's father passed away because of smoking cigarettes.
Oh,
So with these statistics, all the dots got connected with
ah,
us. And
interesting.
we also noticed that a lot of people back home in India, they smoke cigarettes, they smoke like different things,
Yep.
and they are not aware about these things. And
But the dangers.
so all these data and all these statistics kind of like related to me from start to end.
Yep. Now, I think you told me, let's see if we can actually see, but I think you told me that I want to go back to your video. Take a look at, sorry, let me stop this for a moment here. What are you up to? 30K likes. Where's the shares? It doesn't give a number for shares, huh?
I think it does.
7 million views from 8 years ago.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, you can understand why. And like every young person, I think nowadays wants to do something that goes viral. And like going viral, hey, I'd love to do something that goes viral. Going viral is kind of the cool thing. But you really ask yourself, well, what could make something potentially go viral? And it's the enjoyment in this. It's the fun. Did you see that I don't even know if people would call it PSA. They'd say, "Do you see that Sunny smoking thing?" Whatever. And people want to share it. You watch this, it makes you laugh, it makes you smile. You want to share it. And so, is this your most successful PSA?
One of, yes.
One of. Well, nice.
One of which I'm proud of because it was completely organic.
Fantastic. Yeah, he said he wasn't an expert, but I don't know. I'm not convinced. I'm convinced you are an expert. That was fantastic.
Well,
it's a great example.
for me, like before starting this, I had not thought about numbers, but as and when our facts and data came into picture, there was another big fact which which got our video so viral. Sunny Leone was the #1 trending person in India at that moment on Google. So that was another stat which we took into picture.
Yeah.
So that way, we already had that person's audience coming with us.
Yep.
So in terms of numbers, reaching the right people, reaching the mass audience automatically helped us in all way. And it's not only that you get it from a celeb, but
Yep.
also what your idea matters and
Yep.
how creatively you can present your idea.
Yep. And you said Sonny's father had died of lung cancer.
Yes.
Yeah. So, which is like, I mean, that's just a whole other interesting story behind this. Like, how could you get the attention of somebody you would love to have? And, a lot of these people are behind walls of digital walls and stuff. And it's hard to communicate with them directly unless you have something that they actually might care about. And so in this case, as you say, that was another one of the dots that I guess all connected to kind of show what was possible here. I think this is very cool. So, I mean, I hope and I assume that a lot of you are now kind of inspired by you, and hopefully you have your creativity inspired. I hope you're kind of going, well, you even have some, maybe some of you want to follow Abbas's lead and, think of some important statistic for what it is that you're involved with, and then bringing that statistic, I'll say, to life again, even though that seems more reasonable here. Yeah, that's one model, but it's one of many. And so Abbas has given us a few other links, so you can check out some other things and get ideas of other things that other people are doing. And use that to inspire, but also feel free to just take it your own direction. Go somewhere where maybe you're not seeing things and other things. But if you think it's clever, you think it might work, fantastic. I don't know. I think we've covered a lot of ground, but if there's anything else you'd like to add, Abbas, I'd like to give you a last word.
Like there was another link which if
you want
you're
to
okay,
do, yeah. Let's
the Save the Ralph thing. That was my inspiration to get into PSA.
All right. So let's let's do that. And I think that's a good idea. Let's do one more of these. And once again, my controls are in the way. There we go. All right, Ralph. Let's meet Ralph.
Ready? We rolling. Okay, Ralph, can you mark it, please?
Do you want me to click it now?
Yeah, go for it. Go on.
Like that?
Brilliant.
Oh, it's like in the movies. Alrighty, so my name's Ralph. I'm a rabbit, as you can see. I'm blind in my right eye, and this ear. Can't hear nothing but ringing now. Yeah, it's annoying, isn't it? Yeah. I had my fur shaved and got chemical burns up and down my back. Kind of stings, eh? But it's not a big deal. It only really hurts when I like breathe or move around or whatever. Yeah. Ow. Yeah, that hurts. But at the end of the day, I mean, it's okay. We do it for the humans, right? They're far superior to us animals. They've even been to space. Have you ever seen a rabbit in a rocket ship? I don't think so. Point is, I'm not a space bunny. I'm a tester. My daddy was a tester, my mum, my brothers, my sisters, my kids, all testers. And they all died doing their job. What I would. That's okay. Testing is what we were born to do. It makes us rabbits happy. Yeah. Oh, let me get to it. I know it looks bad, but the way I see it, I'm doing my job. If just one human can have the illusion of a safer lipstick or deodorant or...
Hey, Ralphie! Ralphie! What's with the camera crew, bro?
They just follow me around, making a documentary or something.
Can you ask them to get us out of here?
Yeah, what will we see?
Come on, Ralphie, just ask them to get us out of here. I don't want to die, man.
Okay,
Ralphie!
okay, I hear you. You can edit that out, right? Oh, here we go.
Hey, don't touch it!
Oh, shit.
Very different emotions this time, my friend.
So in closing, I'd just like to say that...
Sorry, Ralph. We're over here. Can you turn around?
Oh, sorry.
That's all right.
Is this better?
Yeah. Carry on, mate.
Okay, so yeah, I'd just like to say to everyone out there still buying animal-tested cosmetics like eyeliner, shampoo, sunscreen, pretty much everything in your bathroom. Well, without you and countries that allow animal testing, I'd be out of a job. I'd be on the streets. Well, not the streets, more like a field, I guess. You know, like a normal rabbit. But hey, so good.
Wow. So you don't even know my position on a lot of these things. When I talk to the class, I'm actually I'm against animal research, even in the sciences. So certainly in the cosmetic industry, but in the science, and my class knows about some of my positions on this. But as a PSA, like wow. Again, we talk about the role that emotions play in convincing people. And this started out as funny, right? And this was an emotional roller coaster, and it took a little while. Like I thought he just had pink eye at the beginning. I didn't. It took a while to get to that link to the testing, and then it got very, very uncomfortable. And I think what that shows, though, is to be impactful, it's not that you have to be funny and happy, you know, kind of like the first one was a lot much more of a happy kind of ride. This one pulled a right angle on us where it started happy and then it just went somewhere else. But by then we were kind of hooked. By then we were kind of invested in Ralph, and it you know, you might want to just walk away, but I didn't feel like I could at that point in time. I feel like I have to see where this goes.
We always see rabbits as a cute this thing, but that's what the research showed, that how rabbits have been used for these things. And they kind of made like a behind the scenes thing
Yeah.
in a day's life of a rabbit. Like he starts his day off and he's introducing, he's brushing his teeth, he's having his breakfast and
Yeah.
going to work. He also had like a few elements of his friends,
Yep.
like, buddies, and like buddies like, hey, what's going on? Tell us to save us. And
Yep.
he's like, oh, forget it. That's a normal day in his life. So
Yeah, in a poignant moment. I mean, there was one moment that I thought for me just really stood out. It's probably no. At some point where he's saying he's happy or whatever, but then a tear, a single tear, kind of. I don't know if it was.
yeah.
Oh no, that's the he's about to get the hand from above. Anyway, but at some point, when he looked at the screen and his emotion changes, we are so sensitive to
Yes.
those sorts of things that when we feel somebody go into a very sad state, our empathy system just makes us feel that. And that was sort of a turning point. That's when things started getting dark in the ad, I think.
And the hard hitting part was you see a person smiling, but a tear falling down.
Yes.
That's the most hard hitting and emotional thing which I could see.
Almost want to find that moment, because it is funny how something, and I don't even think he was talking when he.
And they all died doing their job. What I will. That's okay. Testing is what we were born to do. It makes us rabbits happy.
So right, that fall of the face right there. Now, I talk about nonverbal cues a lot with my students. That eyes turning down and the head turning down, and then it's going to go to it.
Yeah.
And also he mentioned he has a thing at his back.
Yes.
Which they showed it in the end after Ralph has been tested and he comes back home to his locker to pick up his bag, and he's like looking the opposite side of the camera. And like it shows how much it goes through that poor animal.
Yep. And also the allusion to that. So that's using curiosity. Curiosity is a powerful force. And so when he says, there's something about my back, you don't necessarily want to see it, but you're kind of curious, like what's he talking about? And then they don't show you, right, for quite a while until the very end. And that curiosity can kind of carry you through and wanting it to be resolved. But yeah, this scene right there is that got me a little bit, where it's like, oh man, and it kind of makes you, we're so easy, like that. This is a good example of how, there's so many things people can care about in the life, and we can't sort of positively play a positive role in all of these things we would like to. And so we have to pick or choose. And that means there's some things that we just actively choose not to worry about. And so it could be something like animal testing. It could be, whatever. And that's the trick, is to try to convince somebody, no, this is a really serious issue. This isn't something we should be just ignoring. And I thought this ad did an amazing job at doing that. I don't understand. I mean, I've never understood before, but after seeing this ad, I don't understand why we ever allow any of this to happen in the makeup industry. It just seems like a no-brainer, for sure. Wow. So you brought us laughter, you brought us tears, and there's a lot in that. So when we talked about those roots of persuasion, we really talked about there's these two parts of our brain, the emotional part and the rational part. And in both of those ads, it was really more about emotion. And often that is the more powerful way to kind of capture someone's mind, their attention, and their memory, going forward. So, I mean, great examples, fantastic examples.
Yep.
Yeah. So that one inspired you, didn't you? So you saw that one, and that was one that pushed you to want to be doing this sort of thing.
I always during the 90s and 2000, whenever we used to watch movies and all, we always see animals in the science lab being tested on things and all. And that's when I saw this ad, I actually kind of did my research. Like, what is it exactly? How did this come into picture? And that where led me to so many researchers and so many stories talking about that, how animals have been used, and this needs to be stopped. So that way it kind of made sense to me on what they've made. And when you see something and when your facts match with what you see, I think that's where a win-win situation is. That that's what it makes sense what they've made. And that's
Yep.
how it's going to impact me and how I'm going to impact all of my friends and family or people around me.
Yep. Yep. There's that quote. I always get it wrong, but if you don't like the world as it is, change it. Whatever. Don't just accept it. If there's things you don't like, you have the power to do something, and you guys are seeing that a lot in these projects. So do you continue? By the way, so I know your main gig now is marketing for UTSC, which is great. Now I can imagine you're doing some. I'd love to see some of the ways you're representing Scarborough and UTSC, because I think we have more Scarborough pride emerging all the time, and so you get to amplify that a little bit. That's cool. But do you continue to do things on the side like this as well? Are you continuing to create PSAs or?
If I get an opportunity, I would be the first one trying.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Listen, wow. I really, really want to thank you for sharing yourself, sharing your work, and sharing your expertise with the students. Again, we got so many great members of the UTSC community, and it's great to bring you into class and to bring the class to you. So if you're walking around the university and you have students now that are smiling at you or saying hi, it's probably from here. You have 2,000 students you're reaching here. So yeah, and all of you students, please feel free to shake his hand and say, hey, if you see Abbas around campus, we are all one community. So it's great when we acknowledge that with each other.
Yeah, and looking at Scarborough being such a beautiful campus, happy to walk around for a coffee or chat around or anything to, any kind of conversations. I'm happy to connect and chat about it.
Very cool.
Because I believe learning can't be done one way, it should be done both ways.
Fantastic. The last thing I'm going to say about Abbas is he will be one of the judges, I believe, for the top 10 PSAs when we find the top 10. So we're going to have a group of people. Some of them will come from the organizations you guys are working for. Some will come from UTSC. And I believe you agreed to be one. I shouldn't speak for you now on video, but I would love to see what Abbas thinks of what you guys create. So keep that in mind. If you impress Abbas, who knows? Fantastic. Thank you again, my friend. I look forward to having a coffee with you and maybe walking around campus and just taking our relationship a step further. That would be really nice. But I really do appreciate your time. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Steve, for connecting and sharing your ideas and your thoughts. So I'm lucky to firstly meet with you and chat about this thing. So kind of had fun speaking about it and sharing knowledge.
Fantastic. Excellent. Okay, so we'll end it here.